What's up, TDF fans? My name is Matt Harrington. I play Chris Bean in the play that goes wrong. He is the beleaguered director of the play within the play, The Murder at Haversham Manor. Uh, he directed the play. He's also plays the inspector in the murder mystery of The Murder at Haversham Manor, and spends most of the show trying to keep his lifelong dream of a project from going down in hideous but beautiful flames. Also, I am a white man. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I'm in my bedroom with a oil painting of a seascape behind me, and I'm wearing a Play That Goes Wrong baseball cap.
And hi, I'm Chris Lanceley. I play Jonathan in the play that goes wrong. Jonathan is the victim. He's the dead body in the murder mystery, who may or may not have attended many rehearsals during the run up to the show. So we get to see how that affects things. I am also a white man with a pair of glasses on, a plaid shirt, and in my background, my cat and a cat tree.
And a great looking pair of headphones, I might add.
Yeah, thank you. Those are my
Yeah.
PlayStation headphones.
Hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You're all souped up. All right. Should we jump in and
Yeah, let's jump in.
questions? All right. You want me to take this first one?
Yeah, you take this.
Okay. So you've both played the character of Chris Bean, theater's master of dumb. Hey. Can you talk about your different interpretations and what it's like watching each other in the role, Chris?
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought you might take a little bit of exception to the master of dumb statement.
He doesn't think he's dumb. I think
No,
he thinks he's a
exactly.
savant.
I do as well. Yeah, he thinks he's savant. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
savant.
he's a master of all trades.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the playbill, he's done everything, right? He's
yeah,
designed the costumes, he's painted the set,
yeah,
he's done
yeah.
everything. So yeah, he doesn't think he's dumb.
No, 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 no. No, he thinks he's surrounded by people that he might think are kind of
That's
not the
true.
most intelligent, and I don't know that he thinks the audience is too intelligent, but he certainly thinks that he is quite sophisticated, quite
Yeah.
learned, quite intelligent. Yeah.
I suppose you should explain that we both played the character. You originated the role off Broadway. Originate, is that the right term?
I'll take it. Yeah, works
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
you can have that. That's
Thank you.
yours. And I joined as well with the off Broadway transfer of the show, playing Jonathan. And then about 9 months into the run, I joined the touring company as Chris Bean,
Mhm,
as Matt's role. And I was with that all the way up until the shutdown hit,
mhm,
as you were with off Broadway. And then post shutdown, we've been back in our home at New World Stages, me back as Jonathan, the victim, and Matt's understudy in the role of
mhm.
Chris, and Matt, you as Chris. So it's interesting. It's kind of I like this question because it's interesting that we both played the same role. We're very close as well, as you're aware.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
get to talk about the character a lot, and I mean, we whisper a lot about the role backstage during the shows.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's a constant conversation. It's funny because I've gotten to watch you do this a few times now, Chris,
Mm,
and it's it's different. I mean, it's hard to put my finger on what
yeah,
is different, but, it's one of the things I just love about theater and acting is it's the same character, it's the same words, it's the same, circumstances, but, the first time I watched you, I was like, "Oh, cool. I like that." And I actually couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't do
yeah.
your interpretation because it's your interpretation, but I loved it. I mean, I was just so excited to see what you
As
did.
I And then that's I it's interesting that my version of Chris came from watching you essentially.
Mhm.
I learned Jonathan, and I had to play Jonathan every night, but uh, understudying you, you were kind of the foundation for what I did,
Yeah.
and we can't do the same thing. You and I, we wouldn't, it wouldn't work.
No.
Uh, and I also love that about how we rehearse this show too. There's a
Mhm.
lot of improv involved.
Yeah.
in that process. And I feel like you and I rehearsing with the off-Broadway company, and then me doing those improvs and working with an entirely different set of actors on the touring company also kind of made our interpretations spread
Right.
apart a little bit.
You were in a different world of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
entirely. And I've struggled actually since we came back, um, kind of taking the performance down from a big touring house to our lovely off-Broadway house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so I
right,
think
because
that's
we're 'cause we're
also
a
played
very
a part in
intimate
it.
house,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
were
and
playing,
I
like,
love it. I love the
huge road
intimacy of,
shows. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
and the show itself is kind of geared towards that intimacy, I feel like.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not to say you know, it doesn't work in huge houses. It does. You know, I've seen that happen, but I love it in our little, you know, where the audience is. You could reach out and shake, and we often do shake hands with someone on the front row who we've yelled at during the course of the show.
That's right.
Um,
Less so in the age of COVID, but
yeah,
there has
yeah,
been physical contact. Um, and it's funny too, because like, I have absolutely stolen choices you made. I have no shame in saying that. And I've watched it, I thought, "Oh, okay, that's great. Yep, I'm taking that. I'm gonna take that." But, there were other things that I was like, "Ooh, I kinda wanna I love what he did with that. I wanna steal that." But again, like I couldn't because it's
yeah,
it's not it's not me,
yeah,
it's just stuff that comes from you and how you sort of sit in this role. And so
yeah.
that's maybe where I could see the differences was like, what can I steal and what can't I steal? And the stuff I couldn't
Right,
steal, those are the big differences. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's interesting. I keep thinking when I'm glad we get the freedom in this show. And I was in understudy rehearsals yesterday. We're given the freedom to, there's certain beats we have to hit, but we're all given the freedom to put our own stamp on things, which is,
Mhm.
and I think we obviously have to do that.
Yeah.
As you're saying, we can't just do the same. I couldn't do half the things you do.
No.
You're so clever with the way you approach it. God, you were so intimidating, by the way, early on, like when we first started out. Oh, yeah, of course it was, like starting this show, having my own role to learn, and also yours, which is such a monster, Chris. He's involved from the very first moment. Those curtain speeches, Chris has curtain speeches at the top
Mhm.
of Act One and the top of Act Two. They terrify me because
Yeah.
you're on your own. You have
Yep.
absolutely no safety net,
Yep.
and the language is very specific and precise, and the jokes come thick and fast. And there's just no safety net, and from that, it scared me. And then seeing how well the place you got into when we opened at the end of our 3 or 4 weeks of rehearsal.
Mhm.
um yeah, I was intimidated because I was thinking, wow, he's nailing it right off the bat, and you continue to this day to do that. But what I realized slowly was that you really just kind of laid the carpet for me. Is that an expression? I'm
I
going to use a
like
ton
it.
of expressions that don't make any sense, but
I don't know if it is, but it is now.
yeah,
Um,
you laid the carpet out for me, and I could walk down it and just and take your choices, and some, as you said, some of them worked for me, some of them didn't, but it was like easy mode coming into it, seeing using the brilliant work that you'd put into it, and kind of being able to then take that and use that as the foundation for what I was going to do, and then learn to what didn't and did work for me, and then find my own little things as I went on. I sometimes wonder if I was if I'd have had to originate the role, or originate, I'm using that again, if I'd have had to have come in and learned the role from scratch, I don't know where I'd be right now.
hmm.
Like if I hadn't had you as a kind of someone to look at and think, oh wow, that's brilliant. That's a great way to lead into that. That's a fantastic connection he's made there that makes that make a whole bunch of sense that I hadn't seen in the script. I'm not going to spend the entire time praising you, but like that, that's what I, as someone who, and I think it's unique, right? I understudied you, then I played it, and now I'm back understudying you again. It's a
Yeah.
unique situation to be in, and a unique way to kind of learn a role.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Chris. That's so sweet. I appreciate all that. And how much do I owe you? I'll Venmo you after the
Yeah, we'll
review.
sort that out
Just so
later.
you know that.
I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I'm going to read it. The
Oh,
play that goes wrong. The play that goes wrong's on-stage mishaps are meticulously choreographed. Did you undergo any special physical training before joining the cast, and what's the most difficult stunt you perform?
Well, I would say you have more of the physical burden as Jonathan in this play. Um, and that's something I will throw back at you, that I'm always impressed by what you've, been able to do with this, as far as just, uh, you know, you're fit. I have felt this man's lats, and they are very well
And
developed.
you often shout that at me on stage.
And I often shout, "Use your lats." That's right.
Yeah, when I'm dangling from things and need to pull myself up.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but I wasn't fit straight out the gate, and I think that's kind of what this question's getting at a little bit.
Mhm.
There was no well, I take that back. Actually, there was some specific training for a specific stunt in the show that involves kind of a trapeze situation. At the very beginning, and again after shutdown, we went to a trapeze school and did a couple of hours of training on that, how to swing correctly, how to land correctly, um, kind of safety protocols for that kind of thing. But that is the only specific training we did before rehearsal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's kind of on-site training. It's sort of like
yeah.
you learn as you go, and you start to feel what hurts at the end of the night or the next day, and you go, "Okay, well, that's the place that needs to get developed a little more." I
Yeah.
think for me, I have some physical things, but, I think for me, vocally, it's probably the most challenging, just because Chris Bean,
Yeah.
he yells a lot at a lot of people, including the audience, and, it's also the challenge that everybody faces, but I think as Chris, he often, because as the inspector, he's tends to kind of drive the action back onto things when they go wrong. It's oftentimes it's Chris that gets us back, and we're not mic'd. And I've had people
Mhm.
see the show and go, "You're not mic'd." It's a 350 seat house, so it's not like we're playing to a balcony and a mezzanine, but it still vocally requires a lot of stamina. And in addition to the yelling, coming in over laughs, when we have a full house and you've got 350 people laughing, and even when the laugh sort of peaks and it's starting to die down, you still need to kind of top it. And so that was hard, and I have had vocal issues, I'll be honest. Like,
As have
it's
I.
yeah, and I think a lot of us do. There's a lot of steaming
Yeah.
backstage and a lot of
It's unique to your role is the fact that you hold so much tension physically throughout the show
that's
as
right.
you're watching your show fall apart, and
Yeah.
that physical tension around the shoulders and this
Mm,
area combined with having to vocalize, and as the question says, meticulously choreographed. It doesn't always allow us to let the laugh die before we have to come in over it.
that's right.
We can't just wait for a bit of quiet before we speak. So that tension combined with the topping of the laughs and that sort of thing is a yeah, it's difficult. It's a
Yeah,
challenge.
it is.
Um,
Yeah. That's a good
yeah,
point. I mean, because Chris operates from so much tension, and as an actor, all of your vocal training is about how do you find release? How do you open
yeah,
your instrument? How do you create there's a body that can just flow with things? And so playing someone who's so tight and then is also yelling, I mean, that's really hard. And that's something
yeah.
that even, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and actually since we came back, I've had the opportunity, because we had such a long break, to approach it differently, because the
Hmm.
it's harder when you've been doing it every night to try to change a habit. But when we came back, I was actually able to go, okay, well, how can I place this tension in a way that's not gonna cause damage? And I think for me, what I've been playing with lately is, just bringing it lower, bringing it into my
Yeah.
feet, and bringing it into my legs, and really trying to keep this freer. But it's hard. Yeah.
It's odd having that time to reflect, actually, having that shutdown to kind of look back on what you've done and then have that time to think about what you're about to do. I was worried coming back that I'd from sitting in my apartment for so long, I wouldn't have that physicality that I used to have. But I think even first time round and after the shutdown, even though there isn't a ton of specific training we do beforehand, the stunts in the show evolve as you physically become more capable. That's at least
Hmm.
what I've found. And I
Hmm.
came into this show completely physically incapable. I tore a muscle in my shoulder and missed the majority of the previews.
Yeah.
Um, as I'm sure you remember, that was a bit
Oh
of a
yeah.
stress.
You were not a
Um,
lucky guy.
but over time, everything recovered, and the stunts that had been very kind of not safe, they're never safe, but that had been done by me as safely as possible. As I became more physically capable, they can expand from there. So I don't know if that specific training in advance is as necessary as just kind of growing into it physically
Yeah.
as the time goes, physically and safely,
Yeah.
in theory. It does feel like a bit of a juggle sometimes of, vocally and physically
Oh,
keeping everything going week after week.
and it's one of those
Um,
plays where every actor on that stage has their own challenge, and it's different for everybody, but it's
yeah,
hard for everybody in a different way for each actor.
totally.
But whether it's physical challenge or, vocal challenge or just focus challenge or timing challenge,
Hmm.
there's so many different balls that people are juggling with this.
We have one of my favorite questions up on the.
Oh, we do. Is it my turn? I can't remember.
It'll give it to you.
Okay, well, I'll take this one. Has
Yeah.
anything ever truly gone wrong in the play that goes wrong? And did the audience even notice?
I feel like this should be has anything ever not gone wrong? I think it's inevitable with so many moving parts and so many kind of specific choreographed movements, and the set being such a part of our show.
Our Tony
Um, I-
Award-winning set.
our Tony Award-winning set, yeah, the only Tony rattling around within
All right,
our
don't say
group.
that
All
part.
right,
Just
all
say
right.
just say it's the Tony Award-winning set. Yeah, no, I agree, and that's probably the most common question I get
Mm,
when people see the show. They always go, "Does anything ever really go wrong?" And a lot of times, when something goes wrong, it goes right, and that's the
yeah,
problem, is that
yeah,
the wrong doesn't happen. Like, that's usually,
yeah.
without giving too much away, it's like, something that's supposed to fall doesn't fall, or something that's supposed to break doesn't break.
Hmm.
And so in those cases, the audience wouldn't notice. We all kind of die inside because we go, "Oh man,
Yeah.
this thing that was going to be such a hit, they were going to love it, and we have to just keep going because it didn't
Hmm.
happen." But I think in most cases, I don't think. I think that yeah, things go wrong a lot, but I think the audience rarely picks up on it. I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, I also get that comment a lot that, oh, it must be so nice being in a show where things can go wrong and you can kind of get away with it.
Hmm.
I think that in a way depends on what role you're playing. I always
Yeah,
feel a lot of pressure when I'm on as Chris, that
yeah,
Chris is a bit of a perfectionist, and when things don't go wrong for him as much, things go wrong around him.
that's right.
Um, so it's hard to kind of just finesse it away as Chris, as opposed to a character like Max, who is constantly waving at the audience and smiling. His
Yeah.
mistakes are probably a lot easier. Although Jesse Aronson, who plays that role, might dispute that, I suppose. Um,
I call it the play that goes wrong insurance policy,
mm,
which is that we do have a little bit of that, like, just that was last night, wasn't it? Last night I had an issue with my pocket. My pocket got a hole in it, and so I was starting to lose a prop down into the inner lining of my coat,
yeah,
and I had to really struggle to get this thing out of my pocket. And that's a perfect example for me of the play that goes wrong insurance policy, because it becomes a bit like, oh,
yeah,
he can't get the thing out of his pocket. And so I think, there are moments where we can sort of, whereas if we were just doing the mousetrap and something went wrong, it would be a lot more obvious. But I think sometimes we
yeah.
can get away with stuff.
I suppose there's another a literal safety net is the cameras we have, and I think about positioning, and we
Yeah,
have to be in specific places for things, and there's also kind of built-in safety words where if something isn't said, then we know that the actor is not in a specific in a safe place to do the stunt, therefore it's not going to happen.
yeah,
And these cameras, the stage manager's looking at exactly where we are, so if we're not in the right place or the right mark, it's not going to be safe, so that's not going to happen. So thankfully things can't go so wrong that they're going to injure us.
no, and there's a lot of trust.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a
there
lot
is.
of trust we all put not only in each other, the actors on stage, but in our crew and in our stage
Yeah.
management, because there are things that are going to happen that, and we know that if it's not safe, if something needs to not happen or a hold needs to
Hmm.
happen. In fact, there have been times I've been on stage and it's like I see something actually
Yeah,
goes wrong, and I go, "That's going to be a hold. Here it comes,"
yeah.
because that's now posing that's a danger now, and so I know here it comes, and then inevitably you hear the stage manager get on the mic and say, "We're going to hold for a second."
Well, and equally, we have those rehearsals where we
Mhm.
rehearse contingencies.
Yeah.
We have where we just come in, and if this doesn't happen, we do this. If this looks unsafe, this is the alternative. So in in most scenarios, because there's always something new that appears. I think in most scenarios, we know exactly how to kind of get out of a situation when something has gone wrong.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which I think those, and we have those posted up in the dressing room as well.
I should probably review those. It's been about a year and a half.
Should we do it before the show tonight?
Yeah, maybe we should take a look.
Yeah, good.
Actually, yeah, I was upstairs in the study on our set the other night, and I was like, "What is the contingency if this doesn't happen? I don't remember. I should probably go look at that."
Yeah, I bet you would. If it had happened, I bet that would have all come straight back to you. That's what I found. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. Okay, we got a new one.
Yeah, there's a lot of audience interaction in the play that goes wrong. What are the most amusing exchanges you've had? One immediately comes to mind. I think you know which one it is.
Oh, the dog.
The dog.
Oh yeah, that's the most amazing one. That was insane. We can probably. I think we could say this much. I think this is a safe way to put it. There's a dog that's supposed to be in the show, and it's not a spoiler because you learn this right away.
Yeah, before the show even begins.
Yeah,
there's people in the house talking to you about.
Yeah, but the dog is missing. There's a dog playing a dog, and the dog has run away, and so they're looking for the dog. And I think sometimes before the show, the crew is out there and they're asking people, "Have you seen a dog?" And then sometimes they'll say, "Could you play a dog? We might need someone to play a dog." And there was one night when someone from the audience who I think had the best of intentions and just took us at our word, got out of his seat, walked down the aisle, and walked up onto the stage, got down onto his knees, and as you just did, Chris, began to play the dog.
The dog. Yeah.
And we were all flabbergasted. There was just silence. I think we were all in shock.
Yeah, I'm a little scared as somebody's walking up on stage and you don't know, what they're doing.
It didn't help that he was like wearing all black and like looked a little bit. He wasn't like laughing about it. He was very serious, and he was
very
all
serious.
black. And there was like a moment of like, what's going on?
I think he had that moment as well as he was walking on the stage, probably seeing everyone's reactions to him. But when he got on his knees and did this, we realized what was happening, and then I think the house manager quickly came down and I think you yelled something as Chris Bean.
I think finally when I came back to my senses, I think I just yelled, "Get off my stage," something like that.
My enduring memory of that though is making that's a spoil. Is that a spoil? No, because he spoils it himself early on. Making an entrance near the end of the show, and in a glimpse out to the audience, seeing his girlfriend rubbing his arm and him just kind of covering his face like this. Even 30 minutes later in the show, just still
that poor guy.
Destroyed by it.
He probably wakes up at 3 a.m. some nights.
Still,
and just dies.
He just sits bolt upright in bed like this.
No! This traumatic reenactment. We should see if we can find him.
And if he's watching this, which I doubt, because he probably doesn't want anything to do with the play that goes wrong anymore. If he's watching it, he's gone down in history with our show. He's a fan, not a fan favorite. The opposite. He's a cast favorite.
He's a cast. Yeah, listen. If you're watching this and you were the gentleman that played the dog one night, reach out. We'll all get together. We'll have we'll talk it out.
Yeah. And I know that you've brought us so much joy since that happened.
So much joy, and one of the best stories of our careers. I think that was.
I think so.
Weird. It was so weird, and it also is like, I remember thinking when it happened that it just makes you realize the energy of audience versus stage. When someone breaks it. It was just like the audience. I think because we felt it and our energy shifted, the audience's energy shifted, and there was just this immediate group sort of just energy shift.
Yeah,
it was so.
Generally speaking, it's an interesting thing because there are built-in moments of interaction. Memorably with your character, there's it's when people talk about the show, and I see people discussing it on social media, they often talk about your big outburst.
Yeah.
But it's a fine line to walk because we invite it, but but also it can be a little disruptive at times.
Yeah.
So it's, and there are moments where you might hear, especially in our house, with it being so intimate, you can hear people say something, and then
Mhm.
it's, you know, it's a risk whether you respond or how you respond to it, because too early on that can invite a constant tirade
Yeah.
of heckling for the
Yeah.
next 1.5 hours, which you don't necessarily want, but
Yeah.
you do
No.
want it at certain moments because
Certain
it's built
moments.
in.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as like Pandora's box because it
Hmm.
does sort of give the audience it puts this thing in the air that like, oh, we can yell at them, we can talk to them.
Yeah,
And there's nights when they run away with it. I always call it Rocky Horror. I say, oh, they've gone Rocky Horror
yeah,
because now they're just now it's a dialogue with the audience.
yeah. And used well on our part, it can really enhance the show and our characters and what we're doing. Um, but yeah, it's a fine line. I remember early on, my character appears when he doesn't want to appear quite a lot. He might be in a doorway or a window, and he's
Yeah.
there for a second and gone. I remember a kid, a young girl,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
shouted
remember
out,
this.
"I can see you,"
Yeah.
and I shouted back, "I can see you," and it was great. You know, it was a fun
Yeah.
moment, and then I departed. But I remember that was one of the first times for me that I realized that by inviting that, and my cat's repositioning behind
I
me,
was just
it's
noticing
a little
that.
distracting.
You're getting
Um,
upstaged.
yeah, well, it's normal. And that was the first time that after I kind of opened that door, I noticed the audience interacting a lot more with us, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the time in the show when I realized, this has to be used carefully. This is
Yeah.
with great power comes great
That's
responsibility.
right.
If we open that door even a little bit, it's then Rocky Horror. It can be hard to
Yeah.
kind of keep the show in the air sometimes.
There was also that a few weeks ago, we had a really raucous house. I mean, they were just loving it. It was like a rock concert. And as we're kind of reaching the denouement and everything's just really ramping up,
The
there's this
denouement.
woman.
That's
You know
good.
what I'm about to say?
No, but I liked your use of denouement or whatever you
Denouement,
said.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's
you
very
gotta
good.
drop those.
Yeah,
Gotta.
you're very
Uh,
cultured, Matt.
oh well, not as much as you. Um, uh, but no, this woman yells in the back after this roll of laughter. She goes, "This is effing hilarious." Remember? She
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
remember
effing,
that.
but she just yelled it out spontaneously, and we loved it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a couple of. I remember the built-in bit. We were in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and somebody's pointing out where a prop is, and
Uh-huh.
he yelled, "It's under the effing couch," with 2,500 people in the house.
Yep.
Hard to know how to react to that. It's
Yep.
a family show. What are you doing? Here's another one.
Okay. What are your uh-oh. This is a
You
dangerous
see,
one.
you,
Oh,
you you need to
no.
read this one and then immediately answer this one.
No, I'm gonna ask you this one. You're going
Okay,
first
fine.
on this one. What are your tricks for not breaking character on stage, and have you ever just cracked up? Chris, have you ever just cracked up?
Well, yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at your ears, which you probably noticed.
My ears?
Yeah, that's my thing for not cracking up. It's just
Oh,
to stare
yeah.
in your ear, because if I'm looking in your eyes,
Yep.
then I'm gonna go.
That's how
And
you know that someone's in danger of
mhm.
because I'm the same way. If but it's so dangerous, right? Because if someone's at risk if they're about to break character and crack up, we stop looking at each other.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really funny. So then we see that it's like, uh-oh, you're looking past me. We're in trouble. We're on thin ice.
yeah. And my big entrance is at the end is I enter and I'm staring right at you for a good 4 or 5 minutes there,
Yeah.
or really until the end of the show.
Yeah.
And also, that's the funny thing about me at the end of the show. I've not been as involved since the first 20 minutes, and I'm there the last 10, and I appear in and out. So I don't have a great handle. I mean, I'm backstage, I'm looking at the monitors, but I don't have a great handle on the dynamic on
Yeah.
stage. So sometimes I will enter at the end and I'll see like the corners of people's mouths curling up, and I'll see it in your eyes, and it's tough. It's hard to
Yeah.
make that entrance, not really knowing anything could have happened. And the moments leading up to that, I also think are some of the funniest. It's
Yeah.
all hilarious, but some of the funniest and cleverest and smartest in the show.
Yeah.
Um, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, making that big entrance at the end. Is that a spoiler? Whatever.
Oh, too late.
Yeah. And then just yeah, you or and then there's characters who are allowed to laugh and smile. We mentioned Max
Mhm.
earlier, who is constantly smiling and waving to the audience. So he and everyone who I've played opposite in that role always they seem to make it their mission to make you break, because they can do it at
Yeah,
will. They have freedom because nobody's ever going to see them laugh and think that's out of character.
it's so true.
So yeah.
And I found when we came back in October, there were moments that like I was just seeing with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And they're so funny because, it's that whole thing where it's for most of us on stage, none of this is funny. This is actually horrifying
Hmm. Yeah.
because we're just trying to get through this and we're trying to get back on track and things keep going horribly wrong. And it's not funny to us. But if you just step outside of it a little bit, it's hilarious. And so I was like having moments where I would see, other people going through hell or just
Yeah.
things going wrong. And it was cracking me up because you get used to what our
Uh-huh.
experience of it is, but seeing it from the outside after a year and a half, like I was on thin ice for a little while in the beginning.
Totally. And it's a I mean it's a funny show. I find it funny. And
Oh, it's
I
hilarious.
also think, so it's gonna, if you're right, if you forget about a moment or whatever and it comes back and it can get you just the right way, and it'll crack you up even if you've done it 200 times. It's never done anything to you.
Yep.
Um, but I think it's also dangerous after note sessions, I found, because
Mm,
people get given these new directions or these kind of slight alterations, and or sometimes they'll get given them as written notes and they will make a change,
yeah.
and I'm not expecting it. That'll get me.
I remember our last note session was only a few weeks ago, but
Hmm.
I remember I was like, we should play a game. We should play guess the notes and try to guess what notes people got because you only get your own notes unless it's a group note. And
Hmm.
it's always interesting because like after you're right after that note session, I'll be like, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Someone got a note. But then I realized that's probably a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's nice, and I like looking at my colleagues making new discoveries as
Yeah.
well. Watching people on stage making new choices and new discoveries and finding things, even after how long, since February 2019 we opened, obviously with a
3
little
years.
break in the middle there.
Yeah,
But even
3
in all
years.
that time, still finding new things, new moments, new beats, just finding more depth in parts, and it's nice watching other people do that. But yeah, it
Yeah.
can be dangerous when it's a really funny thing that they found.
I think it's also just a testament to how great our group is and how much
Yeah,
we all just, like, get along, and, like, I
we
think
do.
the fact that, like, we're just still having fun
Yeah,
every night doing this 8 times a week, it's like we're still I just think we love being out there with each other, and I think
we
that's
do.
part of it is that yeah, it's just fun. It's
And
just fun to be out
that's a
there.
very timely, uh, it's a good time to bring in this question. Both of
Oh, there you
you
go.
were in the show before the shutdown. Did the cast keep in touch? And what did you do while the theaters were closed?
Mhm. Um, we did keep in touch.
You
Like so
did.
many people, we entered the age of Zoom.
You witnessed my wedding. You were,
Yeah, I went to your Zoom wedding.
well, and you were, what's that called?
Oh,
You
I
did the,
actually witnessed
is
it.
that
Yeah,
that's witness? Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
you're,
witnessed it, and I witnessed it.
yeah, your signature's on the certificate,
I
I
love
think.
that. That
Yeah,
makes me
me
so
too.
happy.
Me too. See,
I'd
I
like to
told you we
copy
were
that, please.
close.
Hmm?
I said we were close.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
two
No,
other
I was
cast
honored.
members came
I
as well.
was.
Brent and Ryan, who plays Robert and Trevor. They were all there on the Zoom wedding as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, early pandemic.
Yeah. And we would like schedule
Yeah, big
Zoom
company.
hangouts, kind of like everybody
Yeah.
was doing, and there were like Zoom weddings and Zoom birthdays and
Virtual Dollar Friday. I knew that was going to be your reaction.
my favorite thing you've ever done. Oh, that was fun.
Brilliant. Not my performances, not
No,
just
yeah,
Virtual Dollar Friday
it was a
during the
Dollar Friday.
pandemic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Um, I don't know how much I want to go into that. We did. We raised, actually. You know what? We raised a few $1,000s for charity,
That's
which
right.
was a really. So how it worked was, the regular kind of Dollar Friday thing. Everyone puts in $1, and then a random draw happens, and whoever wins takes the pot. But it was opened up; people could put in more than just $1, as you can, I think, in the
Yeah.
But half the pot goes off to a chosen charity, and half goes to the winner. It became
Well, it went
more
wrong.
controversial. What?
It was the Dollar Friday that goes wrong. It
It
didn't go wrong.
That didn't go wrong. People,
it was statistically weird to the. Okay, so do you want to tell it?
Yeah, well, I think right out the gates, the same person won like the first 3 or 4 virtual Dollar Fridays.
And people got so angry, and you were like,
not really angry, but people.
No, but
I think
people were like, I'm
know
not
that
playing anymore. This is ridiculous. You can't tell me that's not rigged, because statistically that shouldn't have happened. And then you would do you would show us like trial runs to try to like calm our fears.
Paper tickets so that I could 1 week, which took me hours to write everyone's names on them.
It was just because it was such a sweet gesture, and it was lovely that you did it, and it was a nice way to like stay in touch. And I think the charity part was so cool. But quickly you were just in the mud with it, and like.
But I think people weren't really angry. Well, I hope people weren't really angry. I think people were just messing with me, because I was taking it very seriously.
That's right, because remember, we would have to
talk. Going for me. It was mid-pandemic. What are we doing?
Well, remember, you'd call me after, and I would. You'd call me, or I'd call you laughing. But then I would have to like calm you down. I'd be like, "It's okay. No one's mad at you." Like I said, I feel like this is going down in flames. I was like, "No. It's weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's weird."
Yeah. But I mean, statistically, somebody puts in like 10 times more money than anyone else. They have 10 times more chances. They're more likely to win. So that's how it works.
That's right.
But yeah, I was getting, and I did it on Instagram Live, so that so everyone was watching it. And when the same name came out week after week,
the comments,
the comments, and me trying to, yay, this person, yay.
Oh, I loved it.
I know you did, because you've raised it. You've brought it up a few times since.
that got me through the pandemic.
Good. I'm so
not
glad.
alone. That was my guiding light. It was your virtual Dollar Friday.
And we went out a few times. I think when things started to open up, we went out a couple of times, and safely, once we all had our vaccinations and that sort of thing. At one point. Yeah, a few of them.
Some outdoor dining later in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and then remember Haswell Greens, our first indoor reunion, because you and I went and got a bear burger as per our tradition, and then we decided to like get a beer after, so we went to Haswell Greens, which is a bar not too far from our theater, and I went in to use the bathroom, and there was a live band, and I got really emotional because I had not seen live music since the pandemic started. And I just got
live anything.
Yeah. And I remember I got so emotional. I was like, oh my God, it's live music. We're coming back. And then I was like, Chris, we should have everybody out. And so we organized the night, and it was really amazing. It was so good to see everyone. See everyone in person. And there was
light at the end of the tunnel at that point. We were thinking about reopening. It was so good to see everyone again.
That was a nice night.
Yeah. It was a really nice night. And we're not exaggerating. It's the group is so solid, and I think that's a reason why most of the original company and everyone who originally worked on the show, most of us are all just still there.
Yeah.
And I look forward to getting into work. I can't wait until our show tonight. I look forward to it.
Okay. After everything we've all been through for the past 2 years, how does it feel to be in a laugh out loud comedy right now?
I mean, it's great. Especially early on, those first few shows after we came back, I shed a tear when you the very first show back. We mentioned those curtain speeches, and you walked out on stage, and you couldn't speak for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
I was stood there in the wings
because there was applause. I didn't freeze. I couldn't speak because it happened.
I mean, and Matt forgot his lines, and it was beautiful. No, and the applause and the cheering, and the place that it came from, and there was all of us backstage were emotional. I had to wipe a few tears away before I then made my entrance right after you left.
I didn't expect.
How did that feel?
Oh my God, really, really powerful. I was very emotional, and it was hard because Chris Bean is not having an emotional experience there at all. or if he is having an emotional experience, it's not one of like his heart opening to humanity. So
Yeah.
it was a weird thing because, but I completely went out of character, and because I didn't expect it. And I hadn't even thought about it. We had so much on our mind because we jumped back into rehearsal and this was our first audience. And so I'm
Yeah.
going over all my notes and just, thinking about what we're doing and what's coming up next. And then suddenly there was just this extended applause, and like I did not see it coming. And and then I was like, oh my God, right, we're back. It's been a year and a half and we're
Yeah.
back. And this is such a big moment that I hadn't even considered. Um,
Yeah. And yeah, we'd all been working so hard to kind of get the show back on its feet, in difficult conditions, or coming straight off the pandemic, and a lot of uncertainty, being right there at the beginning of
yeah,
shows reopening on and off Broadway. I suppose you haven't given much consideration to how the audience is going to react post pandemic, how the audience is going to react to the show, fine, but how the audience is going to react to being in a theater again, to watching a show, just like you seeing that band when we went to
yeah,
Haswell Greens that time.
yeah.
And I mean, even now, you can that laughter, you can, there's something different to it.
Yeah. No, and I continue to get emotional. I still do sometimes, but in those
Yeah.
first couple weeks, I had moments when I I just I'd suddenly feel this, like, surge of
Hmm.
emotion in the middle of the play, just hearing these big laughs, and I really do think that, it always feels so nice to bring laughter to people this way, because people just we hear it again and again. I have friends see the show and they're just, "I'm wiping away tears," and, "Oh my God, I haven't laughed that hard, my stomach hurts,"
Yeah.
and laughter is good for you. They say it's the
Hmm.
best medicine for a reason, and, like, I don't think that's, like, just some thrown off thing to say. Like, I really do believe that laughter is really healthy and good, and so many people have been traumatized by the last 2
Yeah.
years. It has been so hard, and the isolation and the loneliness and the fear and the uncertainty, and I think, getting in a room with people now more than ever, I think it's always been good medicine, but there's something,
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite of what we did for a year and a half, is
Yeah.
being in a room with people, feeling happy, laughing, having a good time with hundreds
Yeah.
of other people. Like, I think it's
To have a reason to laugh is one thing, and it's great to have a reason to laugh with a huge group of people is
totally.
something else.
Yeah.
I don't. You stand next to me in the curtain call. I don't. Something stuck with me from a few weeks ago. I don't know if you remember this, or if you heard the guy. There was an older gentleman in the second row, who we got to the curtain call. It'd been a great audience, lots of laughter, and we did the curtain call, and a guy in the second row, older man, said, "Thank you so much," and it was such a sincere,
Mm.
the way he said it, it felt like it felt like he'd had a really hard time, and
Yeah.
he was so sincerely grateful. I didn't expect it. Caught me off guard. Obviously that's what the curtain call's for, in a way, but the sincerity with which he said it was, I've thought about it quite a bit since then.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I don't know what to do with that, obviously, but like,
I love that.
it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, it stuck with me.
Yeah, no, the laughter's a lot more powerful now.
Yeah,
Experience that, and just to and I think
and
selfishly
for
for
us.
us,
Yeah.
there's something nice about, like, our job is to be in a room with that much laughter, because being in a room with laughter is good energy.
Yeah.
That elevates you. It just to hear it and feel that release and that joy.
Yeah.
It's one of the perks of the job for sure, is that we just get to sit with that much laughter and joy for our job. It's
And in the most
really
basic
cool.
sense, having our
Mhm.
job back.
Oh my God. Like, talk about gratitude. We got so
Hmm.
lucky. I mean, I think about
Yeah.
it all the time
Yeah.
because we didn't know, and I
No,
have
we didn't
friends that
know.
weren't so lucky. A lot of plays shut
A
down.
lot of
So,
were very, and we have to acknowledge that, I think, and be aware of it, that we are very lucky and fortunate to have this right now.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for what it is,
Absolutely.
and just simply to have this, to have something right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No doubt.
we're very fortunate.
Yeah. It's your turn.
Did I read that? Is it my turn? The play that goes wrong is a murder mystery within a farce. Were you fans of those genres before joining the show?
Um, it's
So you're just
funny.
going to come straight in with, no, I hated them.
Well, no, it's funny. You say that, but like I I don't know that I have seen a lot of Farce, and so I don't hate Farce, but I just don't know that seen a lot of it. Um,
Yeah,
and I remember when I first saw this play as an audience member, I was like, okay, is this going to be cheesy? Is this going to be dumb?
yeah.
And it was just so, and I was like, oh my god, no, it's really, really, really legitimately funny. Um, but yeah, well, and the other, this isn't quite the question, but um, so Agatha Christie's Mousetrap,
Hmm.
which is still the longest running play in London. Is that
I
right? Is
think
it
so.
something
I
like
think
that?
so. I'm
Yeah.
not the authority on the West End.
Well,
Been
why
way
aren't
too
you,
long.
Chris?
I
You're British.
know, because I'm from the north. I'm
You're up
not from
north.
London, and
You're
now I live here.
Yeah, you're a Stark, not a Lannister.
That's the one.
Um, but no, I actually got to do a production of the Mouse. So the Mousetrap, our play, Murder at Haversham Manor, is basically the Mousetrap. It's a not so well written version of the
Hmm.
Mousetrap.
Deliberately
Um,
so.
what's that?
Deliberately so. The murder mystery
Yes.
itself is
No.
deliberately not as well written as.
Correct. Though there's actually some scenes that, like our scene up in the study when I
Yeah,
have that little confrontation with Collymore. I
yeah,
love that scene. I think that scene's
yeah.
great. Um,
It,
it's like the
that's
one we
a
have like
great bit of acting.
we get like 25 seconds of just a scene together that
I
doesn't
feel
go
the same.
wrong.
I get a confrontation with him right at the end of the show as well with the same
That's right.
character, and I feel like that's a moment where you can, yeah, let
Actually,
rip, have some acting.
yeah. But so the fact that our play is basically the Mousetrap. I was in the Mousetrap. I got to do a production of it at the Cape Playhouse on Cape Cod, maybe, God, 10 years ago, which was really cool because I played the inspector in the Mousetrap, and so playing the inspector in this,
Yeah,
it was nice to have that memory and that feeling of what it's like when what this play wants to be, so I could kind of check back on that and know, just have the memory of like what it feels like when it's going right.
yeah,
But that's not the question. Do you like Farce, Chris? Do you like murder mystery?
yeah. I do. I mean, I'm a big fan of Faulty Towers,
Mm,
which is an old British sitcom with John Cleese playing a similar character to Chris Bean.
yeah.
I would say
You
a
got me
kind
into
of,
Faulty Towers.
yeah. Well, I think it's very. I mean, it's very relevant to our show.
Yeah.
I think it's in a way some kind of an inspiration for it. I've also heard you talk about. I was thinking this before, Commedia dell'arte,
Oh yeah.
which I was a huge fan of, which I think is also. I mean, it's a old Italian form of farce, um, and those kind of built around archetypes of
Hmm.
characters. I think this show shares that in a way too. And I've always loved Commedia. We did a semester of it at school, and it was my favorite semester. I loved that. Um, so yeah, I think I have been a fan of performing farce and of old British TV farces and that sort of thing. This show, when I first moved to the US, I noticed I became kind of a bigger Anglophile, if that makes sense. Like I became a bigger fan of British things that evoked memories of home. I became a bigger soccer fan. I became all of that.
Hmm.
Um, so I think, I became a bigger fan of things like Faulty Towers and British TV shows
Yeah.
and sitcoms that I'd watched as a kid. Another show, Dad's Army, which I was watching recently to kind of inspire me into to Robert and started covering a second role. Um, but I think another reason I love this show so much is because it evokes those similar memories in me. It
Mm,
connects me to home a little bit and
yeah.
ties me to the television and the things I watched growing up, and being in that British world every day. Um, yeah, it's nice. I enjoy that. I like that. So in a way, the show, I've been a fan of Farce, but also being a fan of this Farce in particular. actually, I'm taking it like we didn't necessarily like the word dumb earlier, or farce or silly. I think they do a disservice to the show in a way sometimes. So I don't think the show, I mean, it's a farce, but it's very clever as well and very smart, and nobody in it thinks they're performing a farce.
Right.
So just like you're trying to perform the mousetrap.
That's right. Yeah.
And things
And
just keep getting in the way.
Where it is dumb, it's brilliantly structured. Like the dumb isn't like the process that the guys that made this mischief, their process was not dumb. They are not dumb. They're very smart, but there are moments in it that are just so stupid.
Yeah.
But they're designed brilliantly.
Yeah, they're placed well, they're built too well, you get out of it well. If they are too silly, they give it to you for a second and then shut the door on it. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn.
My turn. Tell us about your most memorable TKTS experiences. Did you ever get an incredible deal or have a fun conversation while waiting in line?
See, this is the question. I'm nervous about this question because I get my tickets. I can't think of anything in particular. I just go get a good deal every time. I can't think of anything that particularly stands out. I'm usually online on my own.
You've never done the booth? You got to do the booth.
I have done the booth. That's what I'm saying. I go get my tickets. That's it. I don't think I've.
I mean, you just go to the booth and get your tickets.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that stands out.
Oh, I see.
I go like, I mean, it's cool for me. Still, it's cool being in Times Square.
Yeah.
God, that makes me not a New Yorker. Do I have to hand in my New Yorker card now after 14 years? I said I enjoy being in there, looking around. You know what I really do enjoy when I pick up tickets now, get tickets from the booth, is looking up and to the right and seeing our faces on a billboard
up there. That's right.
Up there.
Yeah.
So I guess that is a cool TKTS experience.
Yeah.
In itself.
That is cool. Yeah, I mean,
humble braggy one, but there you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I remember coming here like as a tourist when I was, a lot younger, and the TKTS booth.
I guess I do have some memories. Okay.
It's such a it's such a like staple of New York theater and Broadway is that booth, the red and white, and there's that staircase, and it's like right in the heart of Times Square, and it's kind of this hallmark of experiencing New York theater, and the vibe around there is always cool, I think, because of that. Like you're just suddenly you're with your people, you're with your theater people.
My Alexa just started trying to contribute.
But
that's totally it. And I remember shortly after I moved here, standing in line with my parents after you talked about that. I always cherish those moments when my parents would visit from the UK.
Yeah.
And we'd stand online and not necessarily know what we're going to see.
Yep.
I will say I've been offered when I go to get to the front of the line and I'm not really quite sure, I do get offered our show a bit.
Really?
Being British. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You're like, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm fine. I'm busy that night. Yeah. Last question. I should read this because it addresses you. Last question, Matt. You were the only American in the Shakespeare's Globe production of Richard III and Twelfth Night on Broadway. Meanwhile, Chris, you're actually British. Can you do an accent off? I know you're laughing at. Matt, here are these two incredible productions that you should be very proud to be a part of. Chris, you were born in a different country, so let's.
Oh, yes. I don't even know what an accent off is, Chris.
Is this? Oh, so are we doing our British accents now?
Well, you're always doing your British accent, so I don't really know.
True. I get so embarrassed doing my American accent. I learned it at school, as you do, nice general American. But I've been in this show for so long now. My wife's British, and it's just I should do it, shouldn't I? I should try and do. It's going to be embarrassing for me. It's going to sound all wrong.
Tell you what, to make you feel better,
which is probably appropriate.
If you feel like your American's going to be embarrassing, then I'll follow it up with my Scottish, which is probably going to be equally embarrassing. How about that?
So or offensive.
What's
All
that?
right, or offensive.
Well, yeah, probably both.
I need something to say.
Um,
Oh, I'll read the question again. Here we go. It's
oh,
my
I
least
can't
favorite
wait.
thing.
I'm so
Oh, there
excited.
it is. Back up. I was
I'm
going to
so
get it on the
excited. I
email.
can't
Here
wait
we
for
go.
this.
All right. Last question. Matt, you were the only American in Shakespeare's Globe's productions of Richard III and Twelfth Night on Broadway. Meanwhile, Chris, you're actually British. Can you do an accent off?
There it
All right.
is.
It took me a second to get into it, but there you go. All
There it
right.
is.
God, I hope my voice and speech teacher's never going to see this. All right,
I
here's the
love that.
Scottish. This is what everyone's really been waiting for.
I don't know why I don't want to do this now. I don't know why I set myself up for this because this is going to be really bad. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Oh God, why did I do this?
Something say something Scottish. Just Adam. I don't know.
You triggered the burglar alarm. Oh, the question's gone. Did I just get lucky? Oh no, it's
There
back.
it is. No, you didn't get lucky.
Last question. Matt, you're the only American in the Shakespeare's Globe productions of Richard III and Twelfth Night on Broadway. Meanwhile, Chris.
It's Manuel.
Meanwhile, Chris, you're actually British. Can you do an accent off? Oh God.
I'm so glad this isn't scored and there's no one else to decide who wins, because that was pretty good, Matt. I'll give you that.
I felt like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. It looks like a baby.
Oh God.
I think they said we could ask to have some parts cut out, so maybe we can just cut it out.
No, I think that's perfect. We can cut out
I'll
my
stand behind you.
American, but yeah. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
I should just stop. That was terrible.
Chris, it's
Thank
so
you.
nice to see you. It's been so long.
It's
I'm
been
glad we got to catch up.
It's been a
finally.
long time. Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you for having us, TDF.
You're in tonight, right?
I think I'll be there. I'm gonna come
Good,
by.
good.
Yeah.
I'll be
Well,
playing
thank you.
Jonathan.
Thanks for
Thank
tuning
you.
in and listening to us just yammer
You weren't
for an
talking to me.
hour. What?
Yeah, I thought you were talking to me. I thought you were thanking me.
I am.
But
Well, I'm
thank
thanking
you to
everybody.
everyone.
I'm thanking everyone, and I'm also thanking
Thank you to everyone. There we go. The outro that went wrong.
And I just have to throw this in there. Chris, you do incredible, admirable work, and I love watching you. I know you said some really sweet things, and I appreciate it, but it's 100% true. And
I'm right back at you.
I love working with you because you're a wonderful human being, and you're also an incredibly talented actor, and you inspire me every night.
Oh boy.
How about that?
That is very kind of you. And yeah, it's the same experience for me. I'm so glad you're on this show. I'm so glad we've become close friends. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I'm so glad we got to do this together.
I know. Me too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, TDF.